In terms of researching skills, the important challenge was actually to get students to realise that the client was an important source of information in terms of them providing professional advice. So the approach was to actually develop a client interview. Previously, when we'd had a client assignment, the students were given the full facts. So what we did was actually change this so students received a brief email from their boss saying they'd just been in touch with from a client and that they had a small business tax issue. And so the students then had to prepare to actually have an interview with this client. And as part of that, they had to reflect upon what type of information would they need from the client and what relevant facts would they need to actually then research the problem more. And so this actually hoped to get the students to reflect upon essentially what are the things that a client needs to tell them so they can actually give full professional advice. So the outcomes were initially a lot of fear from the students, and so part of this is actually to develop the students' confidence. And ways we did that was actually to get a business person to actually come in and give a guest lecture to the students. And so they would talk about what makes effective communication, as well as some techniques to use for those tricky questions, because one of an important skill of being a professional advisor is actually knowing when you don't know the answer. Culturally, a lot of the times we feel like we need to answer a question directly, that we look knowledgeable. But if you don't actually know the technical answer and you tell the client something that's wrong, that reflects poorly on you and it is negligence. And so being able to skill the students prior to their interview is really important. Also, we gave them templates in terms of potential questions they may want to think about and also showed them exemplars. Additionally, the assessment was only weighted about 5%. And because the assessment is low in terms of the actual weighting, it puts less stress on the students. And when they looked at the actual criteria they were marked again, most of it was actually their soft skills in terms of how they conducted themselves in the interview. There was marks for actual technical knowledge, but most of the marks were those soft skills. And then so by able to growing the students in terms of their confidence, then they were more confident in actually conducting it. The first advice is actually to start small, to think about what small pieces of assessment you could incorporate into your subject to provide students a chance to actually conduct a client interview, but also to make sure that it's linked relevant to that future assessment in terms of larger assignment. Additionally, to have resources there for the students to help them in terms of having a guest lecturer in, as well as templates and suggested ways that they may conduct it. Additionally, you being the client themselves, and so rather than having an unknown person, yourself being the client can actually help reassure the students. But at the end of the day, I think the main thing is actually to emphasise to the student how this skill will be so critical for their future careers as professional advisors.